another episode on the Deja Vu Summit where I'm joined by Naomi Judge, and we're going to talk today about hormones and how it's affecting your goals. Naomi, thank you for joining me.
Oh, thanks so much for having me.
So you're joining me from down under.
Yes, the sun is you can see the sun has actually peeped out, but it's meant to be summer here, but as I was saying earlier, it's a bit chilly. And I'm in Sydney in Australia. Yeah, so it's early with me, and I think it's late with you.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And it's winter here.
Yeah, feels like winter here as well.
This is what I absolutely love about doing this is that I get to meet people like you from all over the world, bringing your expertise to so many more people. And it doesn't matter where you are in the world, we can still communicate. I just love it.
Oh, it's great. That's exactly what I love, and that's what I just love, the whole community aspect, and just doing this and having a chat and learning more about you. Yeah, it's great.
So you and I've met through a number of different groups, and we've been chatting for a while, and I know that we're of like mindset. Um, with this Deja Vu Summit, I'm trying to help people who maybe have set the same New Year's resolution over and over again, and they're not really sure why they're not making progress.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because it's that okay, start of the year, it's a resolution. And it's funny you should talk about that and actually talk about that first, because this is something I work with my clients. So we work on the hormonal aspect, but also we work on the neurotransmitter aspect about creating the right balance of brain chemicals to actually support following through with their goals. And I actually get my clients when they create their goals, I get them to really try and understand, get that emotional connection. So I actually get my clients to do their to be and feel word. How is it? What is it you want to see? You might want to lose weight, but why? Like why? And just dig down. And, for a lot of mums, it might be because they want to keep up with their children, so they want to be fit. And why is that? It might be because they want to be connected. So connection is a big word. So I actually do a lot of that with my clients because it's so true. People set their goals and then 2-3 weeks in, they're out the window. Have you seen that funny meme going around about it's a gym, and it says the first two weeks of the year we're going to have a gym equipment, and the next 11 months of the year we're going to have wine. Because it's like,
Oh, isn't that the truth?
yeah.
I owned a wellness spa for a long time. And so people would come in, every January with their goals. But we often look for quick fixes. And I'll put myself in that bucket as well. We look for the quick fixes. And when we don't get a quick fix, it's easy to abandon our goals.
Yeah. That's true. It's the quick fix. And sometimes it can seem too big as well. I know sometimes you have to be really clear. I know for myself, coming out of pregnancy and having a 2-year-old, I'm quite unfit at the moment. I got out of yoga, I got out of running, I got out of doing weights. And so the task feels, I'm so overwhelmed with kind of how to start and where to start. You just get in that kind of, you get in that kind of freeze state as well. So you've got to chunk it down into small bits. You said, it doesn't matter. I don't need to go every day. Okay, I'll just start with a walk once a week. And then it's otherwise it feels too much.
Well, and you bring up a really good point. That's why we wanted to do this in January, because many of us have a program. So you have a program that when people plug into that, you've got that outlined for them. So they don't have to think about what to do next.
Yes. That's what you need. You need someone to help you and kind of guide you. Yeah. Okay. That's what I need to do. I need to get onto a personal trainer and get them to tell me what to do.
Well, and we do get to that state, right, where we've fallen out of shape. We're not eating right. Now we have brain fog, we have lethargy, we have fatigue. It's really difficult to pull ourselves up out of that without a coach, without a support system. And you bring so much more to your program. You're not just a coach, you're a naturopath as well. You have far more that you bring to your program. But by not having that system, that support system in place, it can seem overwhelming to people.
Yeah, definitely. I can see that. And that's why people either don't start, or they might make the goal, say, okay, from the 2nd of January, I'm going to go and do F45 4 times a week at 6 a.m. I'm doing it 4 times a week and that's it. And then they'll get to 2 weeks in and they're exhausted and it's just too much. We have to chunk it down. And I think that's why a lot of people fail. They actually don't know how to start.
Yeah. Even as you said that, I thought, well, see, that was me back in the day. And then I just caused myself more adrenal fatigue, more cortisol, less sleep. I already wasn't getting enough sleep. So that was actually counterproductive when I did that.
It can. And for a lot of women, it is. I get a lot of women come to me with stubborn weight issues. They want to lose weight. They want to get fit. So we go through, we talk about what they're doing and they're saying, I don't understand it. I do CrossFit or I do F45, 3-4 times a week. And I'm like, well, when do you rest? And when do you, and they're not resting. And so it's that constant pounding. And for women as well, we were talking earlier about off the chat before about the cycle. We need to, with exercise, we need to interweave our cycle. And so, more intense exercise is better done at a certain time in our cycle. And then as we come up to the luteal phase or our menstrual phase, resting. And the magic happens when we rest. So when we rest, we gain muscle. There's more metabolic action. But another thing with our rest as well, and this is great for women that are anxious and also depressed, when we rest, that gives a chance for the serotonin, which is our feel-good neurotransmitter, to elevate. The exercise helps it to elevate. And then when we rest, it keeps it elevated. So we feel we're on that kind of exercise high for a little bit longer as well.
That's so fascinating. So I never knew the correlation with my cycle. When I began to value rest was when I did my yoga teacher training. Because I would have thought Shavasana was a waste of time because I would have been the person going to CrossFit and just, pounding it out. And there's something magical that happens when you surrender to Shavasana, especially after a workout. And that really did teach me that the rest phase, and now rest has become extremely important to me now that I'm in the second half of life. I've already been through adrenal fatigue and a number of health issues. I now recognize how important rest is.
Yes. Yeah. And a lot of people don't. It's that their frustration. They do more, go harder, do more if I'm not getting results, and keep pushing. And it's like, the body just says, hey, that's enough. Adrenal fatigue or other illnesses or chronic illnesses can come in there.
So I'm sure you deal with a lot of women who say, Naomi, how can I do that? I'm working, I'm a mom, I'm busy. I don't have time to rest.
So this is where I had to learn this. And so the way when I think about myself before having a baby, I kind of think, God, I was a bit of an idiot. Because you honestly don't know the time constraints. And so having a baby made me value, okay, what can you do in little time? And that's the key. The key is that we can rest. We can get our body into restoration mode, restorative mode very quickly with certain tools. Whether that's breathing, whether that's meditation, whether that's stretching, whether that's somatic work, making sure, or resting even 5 minutes before sleeping, or a castor oil pack. So doing things with 15 or 20 minutes that bring your body into a deep relaxation mode. And you'll know, I've done some work with a wonderful Amy Appigan. She's a somatic healer, and she talks a lot about when the body's in the parasympathetic nervous system, when you drop into that. So parasympathetic is that rest and digest. That's when the metabolic world is happening in your body, the cells are all working, that everything can start to sort of detox. And you're in that state, one, if you feel extremely fatigued, two, a yawn, a deep yawn can be kind of like a sign that you're in that state. And so when you're in that state of deep fatigue, that's when you need to try and rest, when you're in that parasympathetic. But sometimes we get worried. We think, oh, why am I so tired? I shouldn't be tired. I need to have another coffee. Maybe I should go for a run to wake myself up. Well, if you get to that really fatigued state, just try and take 10 minutes and lie down and just do a few breaths. I know, being a busy mom and having a business, that I can do that 10 minutes. I don't need to be going for a 2-hour massage if I don't have the time.
You mentioned rest and digest. And I think that's a really good point to make, that so many people now have digestive issues, digestive distress, but we don't correlate that with needing rest.
Yeah, that's true. It's huge, isn't it? And I just wonder about, the percentage of the population that aren't really absorbing and digesting the food correctly, because we're either eating on the run, we're having it in the car, we're by our desk eating, or we're stressed when we eat. And I don't think people actually really learn, unless they're interested in health, about what it takes to digest food. Our body doesn't just, if our body does it will break the food down, but if we're in a stressed state, we don't have the goods, we don't have the blood in our digestive tract to do what it needs to do. There's a lot, there's a lot that needs to go on. We need to be in that kind of nice, relaxed state. I don't think people know that.
No, I certainly didn't. I worked in information technology, and so my pager went off 24 hours a day, and I worked very, very long hours. And so I ate in the car. I said I raised my kids on box mixes and drive-throughs. And so probably why God has called me to do this work now, because I didn't know any better. And I had a lot of digestive distress, but I never correlated it with the stress in my life.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know. And then once you start learning. So I think do you know what? I think that's one change that's simple that can have big impact. And that's with your 3 meals a day, because we shouldn't be grazing throughout the day. So especially women, we want to be supporting ourselves, supporting our blood sugar. So say we have 3 meals a day, make an effort to sit and have that meal, even if it's 10 minutes to eat that sandwich, or 10 minutes to have that yogurt, whatever it is, sit and just eat that meal and then move on. Don't multitask. I think that's just doing that one thing can at least have an impact.
I'm sure there's a lot of moms listening going, what do you mean don't multitask? I have to multitask all day.
It's hard, but that's doable. I think that is doable. I know it's doable. Yeah.
So you have a group that you run where you help women to understand their cycle and their hormones, and
that's right, yes,
how that impacts the quality and happiness of their life.
Yeah. Happiness is a big one, because I think a lot of people, and I for one was one of these people, it wasn't until 2014 that I really started getting into mindset work and understanding the power of the brain, and that you could be happy. It wasn't until 2014. Until 2014, I thought that me being a bit agitated, a bit impatient, getting a little bit down was just my personality. Like, I thought that was me. I always thought that was me. Through my teens, I was up and down. I just thought, oh, it's my personality. So it wasn't until 2014 that I started really doing some work, mindset work on myself, and then really starting to track my cycle and seeing the impact of my cycle. And that's 2014. And then now, from there until now, the tracking of my cycle I still do. And I can even see without my period, I think I was telling you, I was still breastfeeding, and without my period, I could still see the cyclic impact of the hormones and what it would do to your brain and your health. So the cycle has a huge impact on symptoms like depression, anxiety, intrusive thoughts, insomnia, also how you feel in the world. So belonging, your sense of belonging. There will be times in your cycle where you feel so comfortable in the world, you feel so good in your skin, so happy, you feel like you could do anything. And then for some women, there'll be a few days where they feel like, I just don't belong. Am I an alien? I don't feel right here. I don't feel like I connect with anyone. It's so interesting to see. And this will happen through the cycle. And this is why women who suffer quite badly with this, if they're finding it difficult for 2 weeks of the month, 2 weeks of the month is a lot to kind of take out of the year, take out of your life, over 100 days. So this is why, you know, a lot of women find it hard, even in being a solopreneur and entrepreneur. You'll talk to them, they'll be going at it, doing really well, and then suddenly, just like the brakes go on, it's all up in the air. They're like, the money stops rolling in, they get exhausted, they can't do anything, they don't want to have their meetings, and then eventually they get back into the flow again. But it's like stop, start, stop, start, stop, start. It's why it's hard for women.
That's fascinating. I love how you've been able to correlate that, because I'm sitting here thinking, so I definitely struggle with depression and anxiety. I haven't been on anything for it in more than 10 years now. From 26 to 36, I was on Zoloft, Wellbutrin, and Ativan. And most of that through lifestyle and dietary changes, I was able to get off of all those.
Mm-hmm.
But I always say I'm prone to depression from time to time, which I do think has a lot to do with whatever food choices or lack of sleep. But I never even considered that that could be part of my cycle.
Mm-hmm.
And it is fascinating too that you told me even menopausal women still have a cycle.
Yeah, you'll notice postmenopausal women don't think they have a cycle, and women reach out to me and they say, well, I don't think I'm right for your group because I don't have a period, I'm postmenopausal. And I say, you've still got a cycle, you'll notice it, trust me. And so I get women to track. If they don't have a cycle, they can track by the date, but also track by the moon. So I've got a full moon calendar for the year. Just track your symptoms and you'll start to see when there's a moon, one moon, either the full moon or the new moon for different women, you're feeling good, you're feeling social. And then you go into the other moon, down. I want to stay home. I don't want to go anywhere. Just feeling a little bit yucky.
Oh my gosh, Naomi, this is fascinating.
Mm.
And I think of the kids in my cooking classes. You know, I have middle school and high school girls, and I don't think anyone's ever explained this to them.
Yeah, and it's really important because I think if we're open about it and we talk about it more, the conversation is different. It's not, okay, we've now got a teenager with anxiety, we're going to put her on medication. It's like, okay, well, let's talk more about the impact of the cycle and the hormones, and let's work with that first and see where that gets you. And a lot of people aren't open and honest about it. So there's a lot of women that are suffering. But because it's not all the time, they feel like, oh, okay, I'll brush it under the rug, I'll be okay.
Or because they haven't heard anyone say that it's normal. So they're not talking about it because they think that they're abnormal.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So there needs to be a bigger conversation, particularly, to your point, to teenage girls, because there's just so, I mean, it's the rate of self-harm. And, you know, self-harm is to do with neurotransmitters, which get affected through the cycle with hormones, you know, so there's a big cyclic influence with self-harm, suicidal thoughts, all of that. And, you know, we, as you know, in this age group, that those numbers are rising with mental illness. So it really needs to be looked at, and we need to get the conversation out there more.
That's why I'm so committed to these kids and teaching cooking classes, because no one is telling, I don't hear the conversation out there that MSG, high fructose corn syrup, excessive sugar, food dyes. Everyone wants to talk about what the schools should do, or they're talking about gun control, or they're talking about all these other things, but we're not talking about what we're feeding our kids that is causing this increase in agitation, self-harm, anxiety, depression. So I really implore everyone listening to this to learn more about Naomi's program and model this for your kids for the next generation, but include them. So Naomi, you said you've had mothers and daughters that have joined your group together.
Yeah. I mean, it's beautiful because, you know, the daughters are really, you know, suffering, and the mums don't know really where to turn. They don't know how to help. They know that some dietary changes might be good, but they don't know how, you know, how to do it. So I work with them together, and that's beautiful to see.
So you're a clinical nutritionist as well. So
Yes.
you include nutrition support in your group and in all your programs.
That's right. Yeah. And it starts off simply. So we start off with simple stuff, and it does, as it kind of goes along, or if we see that there might be different things going on. So with the cyclic moods can just be, we sometimes get cyclic mood shifts and we get anxiety, but then it kind of verges off into conditions. So we've got, PME, which is premenstrual exacerbation. Premenstrual exacerbation is where we've got an existing condition, migraines, depression, bipolar, and it gets exacerbated and out of control during the luteal phase. So that's one condition. And then obviously there's polycystic ovarian syndrome. See, that's your nervous system reset.
Yes.
Right there. Yes.
As much as I try to keep him out of here when I'm on Zoom calls, he always wants to get on camera.
No, he wants to, he's soothing you. Yeah, that's what he's doing. So when we've got conditions as difficult as that, we start going a little bit deeper with diet. But we'll start off simply, the way I look at it is, let's get you eating 3 meals a day. Let's put maybe 2 designated snacks in there. Let's take out all the high fructose corn syrup. Let's take out the really high sugar foods. Let's get more savory. Let's get those vegetables in there, those vegetables up. And so we just start simply, 3 meals a day, 2 snacks. And then we start to look at anything else that might be causing issues with moods and with cyclic moods and with PMS and PMDD, PME, those kind of conditions.
Well, this is so needed. I have a school and a class of kids that I just feel so connected to. I look at what they're learning in school, and they're not learning reproductive health. They're not learning lifestyle. They're not learning diet and nutrition. And yet we're expecting them to sit through a school day. We're expecting them to perform on tests. There's high expectations. My heart just goes out to the next generation because I feel like the cards are stacked against them.
Yeah, it's the expectations. And you know what I mean, things like memory and brain fog. Girls really do. Brain fog is a biggie for women. Again, these hormone fluctuations cause this kind of fogginess in the head, and that's so difficult, when you've got things you've got to do when you're studying or you've got exams, and then you have no idea why. That can be a big one for girls.
Well, I love the work that you're doing. I want to make sure that all of the families in my program are aware of your group, the program that you offer. You're a naturopath, a clinical nutritionist, and you have such insight about how our hormones are affecting our health. And there's a lot of factors that contribute to that, but you can help them with your program to make those lifestyle changes and to make those changes to their nutrition.
Definitely, yes.
You're so lovely. And you have this beautiful little girl, 2 years old now?
Yes.
Yes. My little girl just turned 27 and got married. So it goes by fast.
Quickly, yeah. And I mean, that's even, it's one of the things, I'm so conscious of, and we talk about diet, we talk about lifestyle, hormones. So hormones is a big one, even for young girls. Girls as young as 6 can become estrogen dominant because of the chemicals in our food, the copper on the pesticides, the high sugar diet. There's so much that we need to do even from a young age to ensure that our babies have this healthy life. It's just sometimes it feels like a lot too much, but that's why we're here. We're here to help and support and guide.
Well, I think this is going to be the beginning of many conversations, Naomi, because you have a lot of information that I would love to bring to more families. I would love to get these families to be thinking about prevention and not waiting until they're having issues. And we're starting to see those issues younger and younger, and that terrifies me.
Yeah, we've got the menstrual, heavy periods, we've got the mood issues, and then we've got the big one, which is fertility. Fertility ongoing, down the line for these women are having babies later, but also there's a lot of women that have these fertility issues, and men as well. So prevention is the key, and getting families on track and understanding and learning and educated. And it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be overly expensive. We can do it. Yeah.
Well, we can do it with the help of Naomi. So I'm so happy to have you on this event. I know that we will be talking more. And please continue to message me anytime. I just love chatting with you. You're such a lovely
Oh,
person.
thank you, Lisa. Lovely chatting with you. Thanks so much.
Thanks everyone for joining us today. Check out Naomi's links and her program. And until next time, farewell.